Welcome back, everybody. Today we're going to work on the tasks on the south side of the map, starting with the landslide in the mountains, where we need to haul one cargo container to the rock slide that's blocking the road. And while the Taiga is a beast of a truck, we're going to get into some hot water with it, and we'll have to call in the reinforcements. Appreciate everybody being here. Stick around and see how it goes. Let's get started. We left the Taiga up in the hills after completing repairing the power lines and getting the garage open. So let's head back to the garage and get loaded up with these two cargo containers that we left out on the side of the road. We'll get turned around and we'll get loaded up and get ready to head out. I've noticed lately that a lot of people have been mentioning that the Russian mini crane doesn't have the strength to lift a lot of these heavier materials. And I would say just make sure that when you're lifting, you always want to have the crane tip extended out as far as possible towards the object before hooking onto it. Then boom back towards the truck and use the arm itself to lift rather than the winch. We'll go through the garage and get repaired and refueled, and let's head back out on the road and get hooked up. The second cargo container that we're bringing with is for the Riddle of Geology task. We'll need to haul it up into the hills and deliver it to the campsite. Leaving the garage, we're going to take off and head back out on this road. Once we get down to the Y in the road, we'll hang a left and we'll cruise down to the shoreline. I always try to keep momentum up when I'm going over these big boulders, just so I don't get stuck on them. And then we can head off to the right here and take a little bit shorter trip to get to the ice. Now we can just cruise around the bend, making sure not to get stuck or destroy everything on these rocks. And then when we get to this last corner here, there's two sections of breakable ice that you have to be real careful not to drive into. So just drive up on the edge where it's nice and firm. All right, we made it through that. Let's hang a right. This section here is a little bit difficult because there's large gaps between the ice and you kind of have to drive across it in spots where you can see some ice shards to drive on. The trick is once you drive on them, they disappear and then the gaps open up. So you got to keep your momentum up. Even if you start taking damage, it's better than getting stuck in there. Once you get through that, you can turn left and follow the edge around these rocks. And then to the right, there's a river that froze on the hillside. And we're not going to be able to drive up that because we don't have chain tires equipped. So I'm going to pull off into the snow and go up around the side. But we do have to drive across the top of it. And this is the tricky part. You want to try to keep some momentum going. That's definitely a possibility. We tip this thing over and we're gonna have to bring out another truck. So let's go grab that GMC. I have chain tires installed on it, so that should be able to get up the hill without any problem. Although I did realize that I forgot to install the all-wheel drive upgrade that we just found recently. So let's get that put in and then we'll head back out. We're going to take the same way to get up there, and with chain tires, it will slow us down a bit going through the snow, but it shouldn't be an issue. The GMC is a pretty tough truck now that we have this all-wheel drive upgrade. Once we get across the broken ice, it should be safe to turn the all-wheel drive off and just cruise. You just want to make sure that you don't hit these ice shards too hard. They do cause a lot of damage, of course. then we're going to follow the same path around the edge so we don't get stuck out there. Now, coming back to this section of open gaps that we have to cross, I'm going to try to take a different route this time just to avoid falling into these large openings. And just like before, I'm definitely going to try to keep momentum up so we can kind of bounce across. If you're driving a truck that has taller tires, it's not such an issue because they span the distance a little bit better. But as you can see, I got stuck in here and I immediately put it in reverse and gassed it so that I wouldn't get permanently stuck in there. I'm going to have to drive around to the left where I can see there's a smaller gap to cross. But we were successful getting through there. So let's follow around, and this time we're going to drive straight up the frozen riverbed, which will be a lot easier than driving through the snow. And now that we have the truck that's equipped with the correct tires, it shouldn't be a problem. Let's see if we can rescue this thing. I'm gonna try hooking onto the truck first. And it's not moving at all. Gotta be real careful. It's pretty uneven up here. We'll see if we can pull the front of the truck around. That's not doing much either. I'm gonna back up and get up on the road. Got to be so careful through here. The last thing we need is two trucks tipped over in the same spot. These boulders are gigantic. Just a little bit further. Come on, man. And there's a giant dip here. I gotta be honest, I was real worried that this thing was gonna tip over right there. Let's hook up to the trailer this time and see if we can yank the whole thing over at once. Okay, that worked. We'll winch onto the truck so we can get the engine running. And we'll use the GMC to pull it out of that hole that it's in. Get it up a little ways anyway. And rather than trying to load both cargo containers onto the Taiga to deliver, I'm just going to take the easy way here, and I'm going to load one of these onto the GMC and deliver it with that. Now this landslide in the mountains task, it only has one drop-off point that's on this side of the landslide. I've made the mistake in the past thinking that I could come up around the west side of the map, past the logging station, and get it opened up, only to find that there's no way to drop it off over there. So don't make that mistake. We'll get the second container loaded up on the Taiga. I'm going to push it back a little ways because they are pretty top heavy, and the further forward you have it, the higher up on the trailer it is. So this should help balance out the load a little bit. Let's get this thing delivered. Okay, landslide in the mountains is done. Next will be the riddle of geology task. We're gonna run up to the supply storage camp that's up in the hills and get this other one delivered. Getting out of here might be a little bit tricky, but the main thing is you want to keep your momentum up. So gas it and keep going, then throw a winch off to the side if you can. Just kind of swung around. All right, we're back on the road. It should be pretty safe now from this point. Along the way, we're also going to work on the aftermath of the hurricane task, and the first waypoint is just up ahead here. and then we're going to take this back road up through the trees. We'll get the task activated so we can see the waypoints as we go. And we'll drive up this riverbed. It is kind of deep, but it's not really anything to worry about. You can get through here pretty easily. And coming out the other side, you can see there's a scout fuel carrier here. We're going to pull it up a little closer to the road just so we can access it easier when we drive through here. And then we'll just drop that there, and we're going to take this road up to the supply camp, getting the different markers along the way. Up to the right, you can see where the lake is there. That's where we're going to be doing a lot of work on the last contract, the Star in the Sky, which is coming up pretty soon. We only have a couple episodes left in this series, and then we're going to be moving on to Yukon, which I am looking forward to. Okay, the riddle of geology is complete, and we'll go back to the aftermath of hurricane. We'll grab this waypoint. Then I'm gonna just cut up through the trees to get up to the road. You can also turn around. The road kind of makes a horseshoe behind where I was parked there. Either way is fine. These markers, they span around up over the top of the mountain. We're going to go by one of the megalithic sites that we found with the Action when we came through here doing the expedition. It is kind of ironic how a lot of times when we discover the map, we come through one way, and then doing the work on the map, we almost go back the opposite direction and do everything backwards. But it seems to work efficiently that way. Not always, but a lot of the times. We did leave this fuel trailer up here, and now I'm kind of glad we did, so we can get topped off while we're up here. And then we'll continue down the road. Just up here to the left is where we found the raised suspension for the Warthog, and this time we're going to go down this hill, and don't let it fool you. It might look innocent enough, but it is all ice, so keep your brakes on and go slow so you don't lose control. Just after that, the mud does get a little bit chonky, but we don't mind. We like the mud deep. The aftermath of hurricane is now complete. Let's run this truck back down to the camp at the bottom so it's staged for later use. There is a pretty large crevice down here that you do have to take it slow when you drive across so you don't smash out your fuel tank. So I'm going to slow way down, and then I'll hit the second one and smash my fuel tank on there. Either way, we're back to the road, and the camp is just up ahead. Now I do have one load of long logs left to haul in for the strategic reserve contract. We're going by the pit stop camp. We're gonna get this trailer delivered this time. So we'll drag this trailer around over by the tent and put it in the drop-off box. There we go. I'll get everything loaded up and head into Imandra, and we'll get this delivered. Strategic reserve is now complete, finally, and on the next episode, we're going to get started on the Price of Victory contract. We have 2 major contracts left in the region, and I believe only 1 task remaining. So let's get them all knocked out, let's get out of here, and let's get into Yukon. Thank you everybody for being here. Appreciate you all. See you on the next one. Thanks for watching.